Good afternoon, San Diego. Thanks for joining us here on CBS 8 Plus. I'm meteorologist Sean Stiles with a look at this very hot weather that we've been seeing, and we continue to see that linger. In fact, now we're seeing thunderstorms. This is some of the clouds rolling towards the west as those thunderstorms are popping up over the mountains. That is causing a little bit of problems out there right now. The heat advisory continues in all of the orange here, as you can see, all the way to the coastline. Excessive heat warning in all of the pink here in San Diego. So everyone's hot from the coast to the inland microclimates up into the mountains. And speaking of the mountains, look what we've got going here. We've got a flood advisory from those thunderstorms that are popping up. Now you're saying, well, how come there's not an excessive heat warning out in the desert? Well, it's supposed to be really hot in the desert, so that's why we're not seeing an excessive heat warning. Although temperatures are around 110, 115 degrees out there, it is not at that threshold where the National Weather Service would go ahead and issue this. However, in the inland microclimates, from the western end to the eastern end of our microclimates, we're talking about some very hot conditions. Here's those thunderstorms popping up. This is the Doppler radar, and we're seeing some of that moisture spill out of the mountains into the Ramona Valley right now, and those thunderstorms will continue to dissipate as the afternoon cools ever so slightly. It is still very warm in the East County, 104 in Escondido, along with Ramona, 101 in La Mesa, Alpine at 102, 95 in Jamul. You head out to the coastline, you can see why the National Weather Service has got pretty much hot everywhere when it's 87 in Carlsbad, 89 in Encinitas, 90 in Oceanside. Now that's at the airport, so it's a little bit inland, but still extremely hot. Downtown San Diego, 84. Borrego Springs, you can see what I'm talking about when I said the temperatures are hot out there, but not as hot as they need to be to trigger some sort of watch or warning. Forecast again tomorrow to be hot. We're talking 104 in Escondido as well as in Valley Center, potentially 106 in the Ramona area, and still very hot along the coastline, upper 80s to low 90s, so 87 in Encinitas, 90 in Carlsbad along with Del Mar, downtown 92, 96 in Chula Vista, and out in the Borrego Springs area, 109 degrees. Your next 3 days, not so bad along the coastal strip. Will start to cool things down a little bit, but then once we get into, say, the inland microclimates, we have a weather impact all the way through into Tuesday. We're at that threshold where 92 is not really a weather impact, but it's been so hot for so long, I wanted that to be in there so everyone could see that. Place to get some relief, the coastline. Thankfully, the waves are somewhat small and the rip current risk low, so pretty much anyone can head out into the ocean. Tide low just after sunset at 7:29. The water temperature 72, so very nice. Still a very high UV index, so put on lots of sunscreen out there. We're looking live from Mount Soledad towards downtown San Diego, Mission Bay right there, and a few clouds drifting on by. 84 degrees right now and a very light breeze out of the northwest. Look how toasty it is from Southern California all the way up to San Luis Obispo. Nice in the Bay Area and Monterey Bay at 67, 103 in Fresno, 101 in Bakersfield, 108 in the Phoenix area, Las Vegas at 104. High pressure is the player. It has been keeping us hot and will continue to do so, but eventually starts to shift a little to the east. As it does do that, it allows troughing in the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be the cooling mechanism. As that happens, as that high pressure starts to shift, you're going to see temperatures really ramp up in the Midwest. But right now, they have a trough of low pressure moving through the Great Lakes. It's kind of almost feeling fall-like up there. 63 in Chicago, 65 in Philly, New York City at 66. You head out west, 95 in Salt Lake, 86 in Denver, Albuquerque 83, Las Vegas, as we said, 104. Dallas, not bad at 84 degrees. Watch what the high pressure does, and then watch what happens out of the Pacific Northwest. This low starts to drop in, the high shifts a little bit, and as it does, this low expands over the west, the high pressure shifts out of the region, and troughing happens out west. So then we start to see the cooling mechanism make its way into your 8-day microclimate forecast. We're going to keep the weather impact in place along the coastal strip through, say, Monday. And then by Tuesday, we start to see it cool down. But I want to make sure that everyone's well aware of the fact that the heat will still be on for sure. And looking at those temperatures in those inland microclimates, hot, hot, hot. And then we get that trough moving into the Pacific Northwest. That cools things down. So we see some pretty nice temperatures making their way into much of San Diego after, say, Wednesday and Thursday. The same goes for the mountains. You'll stay hot through Tuesday and then back down into, boy, the low 80s, mid 70s by Thursday as that trough brings some much cooler air in. And as we look at things in the deserts, the weather impact stays in place. We'll drop things down here a little bit and then actually get quite a bit of cooling as that big area of low pressure moves into the Pacific Northwest. That's a look at your weather.